Welcome, everybody. I am Leslie Audigane. I'm project manager at One More Thing since 6 years. And today I will talk about a major upheaval that is transforming the way businesses manage invoicing and tax compliance, which is electronic invoicing. And we will also quickly discuss about the impact on custom app that create invoices. So after defining what electronic invoicing is, we will return on the general context of these changes in practice, and then we will go into detail about what electronic invoicing and electronic reporting are. And next, we will focus on the situation in Europe, and finally, we will discuss the impact on custom applications. So, what is e-invoicing? E-invoicing is primarily the exchange of structured data compliant with specific standards. It's not simply sending a PDF by email, which is just a form of digitization. And there are two distinct concepts. On one hand, electronic invoicing in the strict sense, which correspond to the exchange of a legally valid invoice between companies, and on the other hand, e-reporting, which consists of transmitting the data from invoices to the tax authorities. So why this change and why governments are pushing? So in the European Union, the estimated amount of VAT fraud is about 90 billion euro in 2022. So governments want first to combat fraud in order to increase their revenue. And this takes place in a context of digitalization and technological acceleration. So they push towards fully digital transactions. On a more global scale, it's a rapidly expanding market also. Latin America is the most advanced region in terms of e-invoicing, with countries such as Mexico, Brazil, and Chile having used it since the years 2000. To ensure transparency and combat fraud also. In North America, invoicing is not yet regulated by law. Its adoption remains voluntary. Also, initiatives are underway to harmonize standards. In the Asia-Pacific region, approaches varies between different models depending on the country. But an agreement between New Zealand, Singapore, and Australia illustrates the desire to unify practices. Overall, the global trend is towards cooperation and standardization of e-invoicing practices. So, as I was saying, e-invoicing combines two essential concepts. So, electronic invoicing involves the insurance, transmission and receipt of invoices in a structured electronic format that can be used directly by companies and administration systems. It replaces papers or unstructured PDF invoices and enables the complete automation of invoice processing. On the other hand, electronic reporting does not involve the exchange of invoices between companies, but rather the transmission of tax information to the authorities. This data may relate to the invoices themselves or also to other transactions, such as B2C sales or cash receipts. And the main objective of e-reporting is real-time or near real-time tax control. So these two systems, e-invoicing and e-reporting, have different purposes but are complementary. So let's see the situation in Europe. So Europe is making rapid progress on electronic invoicing, but not uniformly. Some countries are clear front runners, while others are moving more gradually, integrating electronic invoicing and e-reporting in stages. The European Union established an initial framework in 2014 with a directive aimed at harmonizing e-invoicing for domestic B2G transactions. So since 2019, many member states have already required electronic invoicing for B2G transactions. For B2B implementation is on the way. Italy and Romania have already made it mandatory, while France, Belgium, Germany, Spain, and other countries are in the midst of transition. Other countries have not yet finalized their timetable. And within each country's implementation will also be gradual. For example, in France, it depends on the size of the company, while in Belgium, they will first switch to B2B e-invoicing, but integrating full e-reporting by 2028. So it really depends on each country. So there's a different timetable, different models also. So in Europe, each country is also implementing e-invoicing with different models to transmit data flows. So there is the real-time transmission, like in Hungary, for example, where invoices are sent to the customer and in parallel to the government. We have also the clearance model that consists in a validation of e-invoices by authority before sending it to the customer. There is the centralized exchange model, like in Italy, for example, which control invoices between suppliers and buyers, but with optional service provider. And finally, we have the decentralized model, where companies retain their internal systems and use certified service provider, as in France. So regardless of the model, timetable of each country, there's one common factor in Europe, which is PEPPOL, that is becoming the key infrastructure for this interoperability in Europe. So what is PEPPOL? It is the secure European network that enables the electronic exchange between businesses and public administration across different countries for invoice, but not only, also some commercial documents like purchase orders and shipping notices. So PEPPOL network is supported by Open PEPPOL organization that was established in 2012. And the main objective of PEPPOL network is interoperability, so connected invoicing for domestic and cross-border transactions, standardization with harmonized formats and protocols, connectivity with a secure network via PEPPOL access points, and governments with a legal and compliance framework for these invoices. So today, PEPPOL goes beyond invoicing and applies to the exchange of fiscal, logistical, and commercial documents, thus supporting the digital transformation of businesses. And some countries outside Europe, like Japan, Singapore, Australia, have also adopted PEPPOL, positioning it at an increasingly influential international standard for electronic trading. So PEPPOL defines how systems communicate. Let's see now how European Union goes further with a new regulatory framework that defines where and for which transaction this communication becomes mandatory. So this framework is VIDA. So VIDA is VAT in the digital age. It was definitely adopted by the Council of European Union on March this year. And the final main objective is to enable real-time tax data and ensure a seamless exchange of B2B transactions across European member states. So this will apply to all intra-European B2B transactions. And the objective is to simplify compliance and increases transparency. So for all Europe, PEPPOL is becoming really the backbone for interoperability. So looking at the main dates, so in 2030, for all European countries, it will be mandatory to use structured e-invoice and digital e-reporting for all intra-European B2B and B2G transactions. And by 2035, all countries will have to harmonize their models. So we've seen that there are 4 main models, but by 2035, all European countries will have to use the same model. So let's have a look on the situation of some countries in Europe. So Italy was a pioneer in Europe. They use a state-controlled platform, which is SDI. And this platform validates invoices before delivery. And they use the format Fattura PA. This format is not PEPPOL compliant, but the SDI platform transforms it into a PEPPOL compliant format. In Germany, there is a regional implementation depending on Länders with a progressive B2B rollout, and Germany used the Zugpferd format, which is a hybrid format. It's a human-readable PDF with an XML inside. In Romania, they have a national platform also, and they have a progressive B2B and B2C adoption. So now in Romania, all transactions must be electronic, so also B2C. And they use the UBL format. So I did not say it, but the PEPPOL compliant formats are UBL and C2I. In France, there is a phased B2B implementation that will start next year with approved private platform. And in France, they will use CII, UBL, and FactorX. And FactorX is exactly the same format as the Zugpferd in Germany, so a hybrid format of a PDF and an XML. In Belgium, it will start in January next year. But Belgium will start with e-reporting by 2028. And Belgium will use private PEPPOL access point with 2 formats, so C2I and UBL. And finally, Poland. They have a phased B2B invoicing that will start next year. In Poland, it will depend on the annual turnover of each companies. And they also have a national system that will use PEPPOL standards. So to conclude on the situation in Europe, so Europe is making a rapid progress on e-invoicing, but all countries use their own model and their own calendars. PEPPOL is the key infrastructure for this interoperability in Europe. and it will be the common model for all European countries in 2030 with the VIDA reform that will have to be adopted. So now let's see what is the impact on our customer that use FileMaker to create their invoices. First of all, creating a PDF and sending it is no longer compliant, so we have to comply with invoicing standards depending on each country. So we have three main options. The first one is to generate in FileMaker structured invoice format, so with an XML or with the hybrid format, so the XML inside the PDF. This solution is not native in FileMaker, but they have some solution that we will see later. The other option is to use API connections of approved platform or directly to PEPPOL. And the third solution is to use the FileMaker add-on. Additionally to e-invoicing and e-reporting, there are some new features to add in FileMaker application. So we will have to add the features to track invoices status, and also keep both structure and human readable copies of all invoices. So we now have to anticipate it for all our clients and analyze solutions and take the best one for each customer context. So for developers, it's a challenge, but also a huge opportunity to create value-added services for our customer by building compliant invoicing modules and status dashboard, for example. So we can turn a constraint into a service opportunity to simplify the adoption of the reform for customers. Let's see here some solution with FileMaker. So it is a non-exhaustive overview of solution for B2B invoicing. So first you can, as I said, create your own XML or hybrid format for Germany and France with the MBS plugin. You also have it's the Mustang project of Go FileMaker. There's a whole method to create XML or hybrid format with your FileMaker application. You also have the solution to use API and connect your FileMaker app to certified PEPPOL access point with ClickWorks or with Jack. And finally, you have also ABC Invoice from One More Thing that offers a free FileMaker add-on to integrate e-invoicing in your FileMaker custom app. So here you have the ClickWorks team, MBS has a booth, ABC Invoice also has a booth, so if you have any question, you can talk with them. To conclude, so the e-invoicing is here and real for all European countries. It's global and unstoppable, so we have to deal with it. But it's also a huge opportunity to add value to FileMaker applications and simplify the integration of the reform for our customers. And finally, I just want to cite the main source I use for the first part of this presentation. It's the Bilentis report that was written by experts of invoicing with data from all over the world. So it's very interesting. If you want to have more information, I advise you to read this report. So thank you for your attention. Do you have some questions?
Yes, obviously, as a resident of the UK, outside of Europe, how does this affect the two-way business of both invoices being received from, say, the US or UK, somebody not in alignment with the what's happening within Europe, and equally the opposite for European companies that are geared up for electronic e-invoicing, but sending them out to countries that are not, again, in alignment?
So if I well understood your question, you want to know how to manage a transaction between European countries and countries outside of Europe.
That's correct, in both directions, yes.
Yes, so for the moment, this concerns only European countries, so you can still send your PDF by email to your American customers, and your American suppliers will send you the invoice with a simple PDF. But if in UK you have e-reporting also, you will have to declare data of this transaction to your tax authorities.
Yeah, we have digital VAT, but that's where it ends at this stage. There's no, it was really, I think you've answered it by saying you go back to the old way of doing it for out of Europe type transactions, back to PDFs, and you can still receive PDF invoices, say, from the UK.
I'm not sure I understood your question.
No, I think you have answered it. I believe you said that if I were to send you an invoice, I could still send a PDF invoice within an email, and you would have to deal with that yourself as you would.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, a similar question. So I'm working for a German company, and FM Cloud, we do our hosting. So I'm going to get, because of these different standards, so how does that work if I get a French e-invoice to my German invoicing system? Will it work? Or?
So for the moment, it's not mandatory to send invoicing between European countries. It will be mandatory from 2030. But it's possible to use it. So as France and Germany use the same hybrid format, it will be possible to send Facturix or Zuckferd format from France to Germany and Germany to France.
But not necessarily Poland.
Not necessary, but
Polish
possible.
Customers. And, okay, yeah. So that would be interesting, but.
Yes, thank you, Leslie. We always advise our clients to not invent some kind of financial administrative situation in FileMaker. Sending invoices is great, but we always connect to financial systems, right? So we use Exact in Holland. So we send our data to Exact, get an invoice number back, and then send out the invoice. What would you advise? I mean, should we leave it up to these huge huge financial systems to take care of that invoicing part, or should we still do it the old way?
To me, it's really two different flows. So you can keep your financial flows like you are doing today, and just, invoicing is just a new way of sending the invoice. So you can keep all the other financial flows and not change it. And
then only for maybe the reporting part,
yes,
most people do that from their financial systems, right?
For the e-reporting part, yes, you will need the information of cash receipts and B2C transaction also, yes. So you will have to find a solution. Maybe sending e-reporting flows will be better through the financial software, or depending on what the FileMaker app does, maybe it will be better to do it with FileMaker.
So, hello. I'm from Gunter Business Solutions, Russell Watson. We've implemented e-invoices, sending e-invoices in format Zugpferd. I can only say it's a bit of a headache. It does have an impact potentially on your invoice structure and flows. We have relatively complex invoices, and so not all of the fields that we've got in our database can be depicted in the current e-invoicing system. So we're having to, it's like we've got prices by square meter of printed material, and you can't get that into a normal e-invoice. You just have to have that in the background, so to speak, and only then the calculated price comes into the invoice. We use MBS to do the combining of the XML into a PDF and the future-proofing of the PDF, making the PDF conformant. That works all very well. It's probably going to be a pain with all of the changes that will come over the years. It's like every 6 months there's a new Zugpferd standard, and sometimes the value lists have to change, so we have to keep on the ball of changing that. So it's quite a lot of work. What MBS has done recently is built in the Saxonica XSLT3 library, so that you now have, at least if you purchase that, you have to pay an extra license, but if you purchase that, you can then use modern XSLT instead of the old stuff which we've got built into FileMaker, which is XSLT1, which was designed in 1999. So the XML functionality that we've got in FileMaker for doing this stuff is very, very, very basic, unless you buy into the XSLT3 stuff, which Christian is hoping people will buy into more, because he's bought a kind of like a developer license and he needs to get his money back to make it all keep going. So if anybody wants to join into the MBS thing, that will help us and help Christian do his stuff. I can recommend it. It's good.
Thank you, Leslie, for the good overview. And you mentioned that by 2030 or 2035, all European countries have to normalize their method of e-invoicing. Does it mean that the local standards for every country has to be adopted another time again for us developers, or is it just the way how the government recollects and and the transmission of the invoices?
I don't know yet if standards will evaluate at our level, or if just government, for example, like in Italy, that's their national platform that transformed the national format to the PEPPOL format. So that I'm not able to answer this question now.
Okay, I see, but makes sense there.
Any other questions?
You mentioned the UK law that you just can continue like in PDFs. Is there any provisions in the EU law that, like by 35, 40, you have to have it even if you're not member of the EU? Do you know something about that?
No.
Okay. So for Switzerland, it's a vote against.
Regarding PEPPOL, maybe your opinion, because we found that PEPPOL is somewhat, I don't know, restrictive or has limitations, particularly connecting the e-invoice, with specific contract document reference, specific. You know, when an invoice is verbal, you cannot connect it to a specific record, specific contract. and that can be shown also with a number. If the invoice has a contract number, maybe you have some information. Is PEPPOL going to be expanded with more information to enable connecting the invoice to a specific contract?
You're talking about contact or contract?
Contract.
Contract, okay. I don't have information yet on how PEPPOL could manage contract.
You can add the PO numbers to invoices in PEPPOL, so that
Yes.
makes the link to. Just earlier, there was a question about will it be mandatory to send electronic invoice from non-European countries such as UK. I mean, geographically, it's still European, I think, but I think we should mention that it will be mandatory for European recipients, us, to report. That's what e-reporting is basically about. So while choosing a system, you've got to pay attention to the fact that you need to be able to process non-electronic invoices that you will receive from third countries. I don't know if you receive an invoice from an American service or things like that. You need to be able to e-report it. So that's very important while choosing a system. It's not a question, sorry.
This is also not a question, it's more a personal experience. I'm Giulio Villani, I'm Italian, so we were on the first electronic invoice never realized in Europe, and we delivered the first pure FileMaker solution to create XML electronic invoice from Italian iFattura PA. So my thought about that is that the problem related to our solution is not on the immediate, but in perspective, because after 5 years in Italian, the problem in our solution in FileMaker is that there is a lot of online provider like I don't want to name something, but there is a lot, and they developed inside their web application also some sort of ERP or CRM or whatever. So right now is not really economical to develop a brand new solution because it's simpler to simply interact with the APIs with their solution. And this is a danger for me, or at least for our FileMaker solution, simply because it's simpler to them implement other area on their system than us for as a FileMaker developer to implement a way to send the interface. The other things that you never mentioned was that at least in Italy we have the obligation to conserve the electronic invoice for at least 10 years. So to have a provider like that is a further advantage because it's quite difficult for a pure FileMaker developer to implement a solution that grant to the user also a conservation of all the documents for 10 years following the government specific.
Yes, but for all European countries, we have to keep the structured format and human readable format of invoices.
Yes, but the problem is not readable, electronic readable, because also in Italian XML file you can insert inside the PDF in Basic64 code. The problem is that, at least for Italian regulation, all the provider for the electronic invoice need to grant the conservation of the file sent for at least 10 years in a specific environment with a specific following a specific rules. So it's not so easy to create something that follow exactly all the rules, because it's quite, at least in my experience, it's quite difficult to create an environment that follow the Italian rules about the conservation for 10 years after the
Yes.
after the mission.
Yeah, sorry, we have to now break the meeting because the next one is here, but questions can be asked to Leslie later. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.